Mr. Chairman, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I start my presentation, I'd like to express the thanks of the Jeopark Ruhrgebiet for the invitation to join this great meeting. And as I've learned yesterday, there are so many similarities and relations between the area of Zonguldak and the Ruhr area. I think it is worth to promote this for the future and to cooperate in the future between these two areas and the two geoparks. Okay, in Germany we have a national system of geoparks, which in the moment comprises 19 national geoparks. 8 of them have also the status of the UNESCO global geoparks, but these two systems, they overlap, but they are not the same thing. You see on the map the 19 national geoparks in Germany. 2 of them are cross-country geoparks. One is in Germany and Poland, and the other is in Germany and the Czech Republic. Jeopark Ruhrgebiet is number 4, where you see the red ring. Oops. Yeah. It's in the western part of Germany, in the industrial zone of the Ruhr area. So, what is the formal or the legal background of this national system in Germany? In 2002, the Federal Board of Geosciences in Germany established guidelines for the evaluation and certification of national geoparks. Germany is a federal republic with 16 individual states, and geology is a matter of the individual states, not of the federal government. So there is a board which covers the common things in geology, and they established these guidelines. Well, the requirements for a national geopark in Germany, they are quite similar to the geoparks, to the UNESCO geoparks. Of course, a geopark must comprise features of outstanding and unique geoscientific value. The area of the geopark must be clearly defined, and there must be an organization which is responsible for the management of the geopark. But what type this organization is not fixed. In fact, there are very different types of organization of geoparks in Germany. Thank you. Well, there's an evaluation according to these guidelines, and if you have passed this evaluation, the area is allowed to use the title of a national geopark. This evaluation is valid for 5 years, and then a re-evaluation have to take place, and if you pass it, you can use the title for the next 5 years. So what are the aims of the geoparks? Of course, it's similar as in the UNESCO world. The conservation of the geoheritage of the area, and this must happen in cooperation with local authorities, nature conservation, for example. And then the geopark has the aim to explain geology and to explain the landscape to the people, and moreover to give information about geosciences in general. And another aim is to stimulate touristic activities, that people come from outside the geopark to visit the sites, and this will stimulate the local economy. One important thing is that the geopark does not establish a legally protected area like a national park or something like that. So, of course, many of the sites inside the geopark, they are protected nature heritage, for example, or industrial heritage. But the geopark itself does not establish a protected area. And this is important because if you want to found a geopark, and people are asking, oh, what's the impact of it? Is there an impact to mine quarry? Is there an impact to the mining industry or to economic development in general? And the Jeopark has no impact, no negative impact to these enterprises. Most of the geoparks in Germany, of course, they are scenic and touristic landscapes. You see three examples here. The Vulkan Eifel, which is a volcanic field, and you see one of the Mar-type craters here. In the Hercynian Mountains, there's a Geopark Grenzwelten, where you see the rock faces here, or in the Inselsberg Dreigleichen Geopark in Thuringia. These are very scenic areas, and of course tourism is the aim of the Geopark. The Ruhr area Geopark is different. It's part of an industrial metropolitan region. The Ruhr area comprises or has an extension of about 120 to 60 kilometers. The area of the Geopark is about 4,500 square kilometers. And we have a population of more than 5 million people within the Geopark. This, of course, is not essentially a touristic aim. But we have a lot of visitors inside the Geopark. It's the people who live there. What is the background now of the Ruhr Area National Geopark? And I think it's very similar to the situation here in Zonguldak. The development of the Ruhr area started in the 1950s, in the 1850s, in the 19th century. When they started industrial hard coal mining. But there's not only coal in the Ruhr area, we also have mineable iron ores, we have salt and brines, we have lead and zinc ores, which have been mined until the 1950s. And all this industrial development happened in a very short time, between 1850 and the year 1900. The number of inhabitants in the Ruhr area rose from about 350,000 people to more than 3 million people. And of course, these people, for example, they needed building material. They wanted to live somewhere, they must live somewhere. And there was a need to build houses. And we are in a very lucky position in the Ruhr area. We have all the building materials here. We have sandstone, we have clay to make bricks, we have limestones, and so everything is present. And on the other hand, we can say the Ruhr area, as it is today, is completely, the identity and the development is completely based on the use of the georesources of the area. Without that, there was no Ruhrgebiet. Okay, and this is the identity of the area. I think this was a reason to found the Ruhr Area National Geopark. It was founded in 2004 by the Ruhr Regional Council and the Geological Survey of North Rhine-Westphalia. It is organized as a non-profit entity, incorporated non-profit entity, an association. And the aim of the Geopark is to preserve the awareness of the people for their roots. The Ruhr area is based on georesources. And in 2018, the last coal mine in the area closed, but the roots are still existing, and it's our aim to beware it, that people know our area is based on mining. Okay, we have a motto, geospotting, man and mineral resources, from exploitation to responsible use. You must have a motto today. Now, our organization, as I said, it's an association, it's a network, and we have about 200 members. 100 of them are individual persons who are interested in geology, in mining history, and things like that. and they are individuals. And on the other hand, we have some 100 members, town administrations, museums, universities, visitor mines, mining heritage organizations, natural environment organizations, caving groups, and so on, and touristic enterprises. And they are all independent. Economically, they work for themselves, but the Jeopark forms a roof for them, and we promote corporate design, and we promote advertisement and all the collective interests of these stakeholders. Okay, as I told you, the rural area is based on the economic development. It's not a geographic unit. It has part of three very different geographic units. In the southern part, you have the Rhenish Mountains or the Rhenish Massif, geological set with Paleozoic rocks. In the northern area, it's part of the Münsterland or the Westphalian lowlands, which is a hilly landscape, a little bit like a garden landscape. And in the western part is the Rhine Valley, with, of course, very young sediments, and the River Rhine is a central point. And these three landscapes, of course, reflect the geology. As I said, the southern part was a Paleozoic rock. We have Devonian and Carboniferous, and some Permian, but very few. In the northern part, most of the rocks are Cretaceous. They are covered a little bit by Quaternary sediments, but the Cretaceous is the dominant geological feature there. And in the western part, there is some Tertiary and, of course, the Quaternary of the Rhine Valley. And I will give you, with a few examples, an overview of our geology and what we are doing there. The eldest strata in the rural area come from the Middle Devonian, from the Eifelian, and they are coastal sediments. They were deposited on the southern coast of the Laurentian continent at that time. And that they are coastal sediments, we see very easily if we look into the fossil content. There are on one hand, we have marine fossils, we have mussels, bivalves, and we have land plants as well, in very close neighborhood. And one is of the land plants is very interesting. It's on the left side of the slide. This one. These three pictures belong together. It's the oldest known tree in the world. It was several meters high, and it had a stem, and it had branches and leaves. And these Middle Devonian trees are the oldest known trees in the world, and they grew near the coast of the Middle Devonian Sea. If we go a little bit further in the stratigraphy, the seawater level is rising, and the Devonian we have Devonian reef development, starting with thin layers of reef limestone intercalated into clastic sediments. The reefs were determined by stromatopores, less by corals, but there are also corals. And one of these reefs is now very important. These limestones are karstified. And there's a very big cave. It's a Clutat cave, which has about 6 kilometers of known cave tunnels. At the moment, it's just growing these days. Maybe it's 10 kilometers in the next weeks. But what is important is that there are no stalactites, there are no sinter in this cave because the overburden there is no lime in the overburden. And what we can see on the walls of the cave is the Devonian reef. What you see are stromatopores, are corals, and lots of other relicts of animals in situ. if you walk through a Devonian reef, when you walk through Clutat Cave, which is quite unique, I think, at least in Central Europe. But the Devonian limestone is not only interesting for fossils and caves, it has a high economic value, and there are several big quarries which use this limestone for building material. The steel industry needs some lime, and so it is an important economic factor. Parts of the limestone have been dolomitized, which leads to forming of small caves, very small cave as you see in the picture. And within these caves there are new developed minerals, which sometimes are very beautiful, as you can see in these pictures here. They are mostly sulfidic ore minerals. They are not economic, they are just beautiful. Okay. One of our Jeopark projects in the Devonian and the limestones is there is an abandoned railway tunnel, and this was reopened to the public with a biking trail or a hiking trail. And the interesting thing is that you, in the rail cuts north and south of the tunnel, and in the tunnel itself you can see the rock face, and you have a profile starting with the Middle Devonian Brandenburg shales, which is these coastal, near coast sediments, as I mentioned, and then the development of the reef limestone starts, and finally we have a limestone reef of about 1,000 meters thickness. This railroad tunnel was reopened to the public. It was a paved biking path installed. There's an electric lighting, which is a bit tricky. There are sensors which feel if a person or a biker is coming, then the lights is switched on, and if no one is in the tunnel, the lights is switched off again, so this saves energy. Okay, if we go further in the geological development, we come to the lower Carboniferous, and I think this is a big difference between the Songoldaka area and the Ruhr area. In the lower Carboniferous, we have a deep water phases. There was a deep ocean, the Rhenor-Hercynian Ocean, and in the beginning there are calciturbidites, which come from surrounding carbonatic platforms, which slipped into this deep basin. But in the center of the deep basin, there's nearly no sedimentation. There are some radiolarites, and the fossils we find, they are all from the deep water. Okay, but this basin was quite quickly filled up again, and in the Namurian, the lowest part of the upper Carboniferous, we have a near coastal marine deposits, and there is one place, the Vorhalle quarry in Hagen, in the city of Hagen, which is famous for the findings of Carboniferous insects. These are the oldest winged insects in the world, and it's astonishing that there are so many of them. I think there are about 20 species and hundreds of findings. These insects were very large. The largest have a wingspan of about 30 centimeters. It's not completely clear how they came into these marine sediments. We think it might be a storm or something like that, which swept them from the land into the sea, and there these animals died. Well, the marine basin was filled up. You see this is very shallow water with ripple marks. And finally, the sediments reached the seafloor, and the coal swamps began to develop. We have lots and lots of outcrops of coal seams, which we can present our visitors. And we have lots and lots of fossils, which present or represent the the plants of the Carboniferous. The big tree on the right-hand side was found just 2 years ago, and it was very difficult to recover it from a rock face in a quarry. But we were happy it worked, and you see now the Ruhr Museum has a big display again. Okay, most of the outcrops and the geosites in the Ruhr area, in the Paleozoic part of the Ruhr area, of course, deal with the Carboniferous. For example, here you can see a fluviatile channel, which indicates we are not in the sea, we are on land with these sediments, and the river channel cut into the underground. Well, there are several examples now. What we are doing is we have information panels with the same corporate design, and we try to explain the rock faces and the geosites to the visitors. Again, the Carboniferous is of high economic value, not only for coal, but also for sandstone and for the brick production. The clay stones of the Carboniferous can be used to produce bricks. And there's one site, the Nightingale Museum, where we have all these useful materials of the Carboniferous at one place. These old buildings, they are a historic coal mine, which was about 400 meters deep, and they mined coal seams until the end of the 19th century. Then the mine already closed. The buildings behind, this is a brick factory, which was operated after the closing of the mine, of the coal mine, until the 1950s. And if you look there in the forest, you see a quarry where sandstone has been mined using as building material, for example, in the historic mine buildings. They are built from sandstone from this quarry. So the Nightingale mine is a focus point of the Geopark because we have this historic heritage there. We have very good geosites there, geological outcrops, and we can demonstrate the economic importance of the rocks of the area for the development of the area. At the end of the Carboniferous, the rock were involved in the Veruscan folding, and of course there are lots of geosites displaying tectonic features like folds, or in the next, this is a geosite which displays a thrust. You see it here. This thrust is quite important. It has a displacement of more than 1 kilometer, but it's not very impressive in the field. It's just a thin layer of crushed rocks. Okay, and the end of the Paleozoic, after the Veruscan folding, we have lower Permian conglomerates, which are the debris of the Veruscan orogen. And in the upper Permian, already the sea transgraded over the denuded Veruscan mountains, and it left rock salt layers in the lower Rhine embayment, which are still mined today. It's a quite important mine for rock salt. And you see the time scale on the left of this sketch, and what we have seen until now was the base until the 260 million years in the Permian. And now we have a time gap of about 160 million years, which are not represented or documented on the surface. It covers the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the lower part of the Cretaceous. But in the upper Cretaceous, the sea ingraded again into the area and covered the older strata with younger marine sediments. There are several places where you can see this transgression. I think the best one is a big picture where you have the tilted and folded Carboniferous rocks, and they are overlain with a very sharp contact by the Cretaceous marls in this case. But there are some other places in the area where you can see this unconformity as well. Well, the Cretaceous is very multifold. We have marls, we have limestones, we have clays, we have sands, full of some areas full of fossils and of economic value as well. They are all mined mainly for building purposes. And the same applies to the tertiary, which is represented by marine sands and clays in the western part of the Jeopark, and they are also used mainly for building materials. In the tertiary, it was quite warm in the area, and karstification took place mainly in the Devonian limestones, and there are some unique features like this karst cone landscape. We call it the Felsenmeer in Hema. The development of this strange geographic or geologic feature is not clear until now what really happened there. We have several hundred caves in the area. 3 of them are visitor caves, and one of the visitor caves is combined with the German Cave Museum in Iserlohn. Yeah, the youngest development in the area is a Pleistocene, where the glaciers from Scandinavia moved into the Ruhr area, and already they crossed the River Rhine, and they left. Yeah, you see that River Rhine has been pushed towards the west, and after the glaciers retreated, the Rhine moved into his actual bed. But the moraines, the push moraines, they are still visible in the landscape. These hills are the moraines of the Salian ice. Of course, a feature very common in the Ruhr area are erratic blocks. These are granites, gneiss rocks, which are very erratic for the Ruhr area. They came from Scandinavia with the Salian ice, and when the ice melted, the rocks were left, and some of them are quite big. The Dickerstein in Aalen the rock is about 3 meters high. Yeah, the youngest sediments in the area, of course, are the deposits of the River Rhine, which are very important today as for gravel and sand mining. And you see in the aerial view that the gravel pits, they contain a quite huge part of the area, and of course it's a political problem. People who live there, they don't want more gravel pits because it's mined under the groundwater level, and then the area is gone and you have a lake. One lake is very good for people, 2 lakes are good as well, but if you have more lakes than land, you will have a problem. And so this is a big political issue in the moment. Well, the mining industry left more relicts. Of course, we have mine dumps, huge mine dumps on the left below. The mountain in the background is not natural, it's completely a mine dump. It's 160 meters high and several kilometers long. On the other hand, there are areas with mining subsidence, and the surface moved below this water at the groundwater level, and we have mining subsidence, lakes and swamps, which are a change of the landscape caused by the mining industry. From the point of nature, it's not very bad. These mining lakes, for example, they are a home of a lot of animals and plants which are not present in the area in other places. Well, of course, 200 years of coal mining and other mines left a huge mining heritage, which dates back to the 17th or 18th century, and you see it includes also Art Deco and very new styles of industrial architecture. Well, within the Jeopark, we have 3 historic coal mines, which are original coal mines where people can go underground. The Graphitican mine is more challenging, as you see on the picture, but the other mines are open to the tourists, and they are very important for tourism in the area. The Jeopark includes a lot of museums, different museums covering geology, mining history, natural history. And Achim Reisdorf will introduce the Ruhr Museum today. The Jeopark itself has established some visitor centers. Here's one in the Nightingale mine in Witten, where we explain the place where we are, where the people are. And for example, in this example, we have the topic of georesources, and we present different types of georesources and ask the question, what is it good for? What is it used for? Or on the other hand, we have products of everyday life. You have toothpaste, for example, and we ask the question, where does it come from? Have you any idea? And toothpaste is made of limestone. People are not aware of this, but it's important to show them that georesources are everywhere.
Dr. WREDE, we are a little bit short in time.
Yes, I'm nearly finished. Okay, we are publishing a lot of publications ranging from children books to science. And a very important thing is the on-field information by information panels, by field trips and visitor groups. And well, this is a rough overview of the Jeopark Ruhrgebiet and what we are doing. Thank you.